All right, Grasshoppers, he is back by popular demand. The stud muffin himself, Mr. Tan, Mr. No Shirt, Mr. Workout in Sandals, Mr. Owner of Patriot Training Systems, the great Mark Puttenvink. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, the sandals. I work out in the woods with them because it gives you like a kind of stealthy kind of feel to it.
Yeah. It's funny. I did the show today with Kevin Allen, and I mentioned our show, and somebody wrote in right away. Mark has been very informative. That's the good word, Mr. Informative.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I'll take it.
What somebody called me the authentic. They called me, so I'm authentic, and you're informative.
I like it. Yeah, I've been called a hell of a lot worse than that. That's for sure. Just at home alone.
I tell you, it was good. On Saturday, I was lucky. The Rangers had me go to a little clinic. The Stanford Sharks were having their opening day. So I went on this, but it was tough. I have the kids had masks on. We had to wear masks. It's really tough coaching with the mask on.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all that, but it's nuts.
I know.
It is what it is.
I know. It's the inconsistency, right? So you have to wear masks, and I get it, the kids and all that kind of stuff. When I went to the 9/11 breakfast in the city, it was all alpha males pretty much, and there wasn't a mask to be seen anywhere in the.
I think what really is disappointing, I'll use a very kind word, is that we're told to wear them, and then every time you turn around, you see the people who are making the rules not wearing them.
I know.
So it's a problem.
There's great pictures of great pictures of politicians when the camera they had I can't remember where I saw it was online where the camera was on them and then the camera was not on them, and it's just.
And then they wonder. Then they wonder why we doubt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well.
Well, no, it's just like everything else. I mean, you just don't know what to believe, and then when you catch them just lying to your face, you just go, "Okay, well, I don't believe a word you're saying."
I know. It's kind of surprising that we have people listen to the politicians as much as they do, based on where they all act. I agree.
Well, I was told. Oh, it was good. What did I do? I didn't do much. I just worked out.
Actually, how old are you now? Are you 65? Are you 65?
Yeah, 65. Yep.
And so were you really cleaning the house in that video? You're doing the stairs?
No. So I figured, you know what? I got to kill two birds with one stone here. So I would count up to 60 in my head as I'm vacuuming. Then I'd stop. I'd go over to my dumbbells, do a set of high pulls. That was down here. And then when I went upstairs, I would vacuum for 60, and I took the band. I was doing some stuff with the bands. But so I got my heart rate was jacked up. I got a good workout, and the house is clean. Yeah.
Good. Very good. There's a buddy, Barry Shelley.
Hey Barry, I owe you a phone call. I apologize. I will definitely call you this afternoon, Barry.
And Barry made a very nice comment on the weekend, and he said, "Tom, hopefully we get to meet each other in person someday." Yes, Barry,
I saw that.
We'll get that done. Yeah. Yes, we'll get that done. Yeah, definitely get that done. Nice weather this weekend too. Was it nice the whole time? Yeah,
it's unbelievable. This is a great time of the year.
Yeah, I like sitting out my back deck. I think the smart TV out there. I'm sure if Greshner's listening, he'll say, "Well, you need a smart TV because you're not too smart." But so I put the TV out there. Now I've learned I've got the whole little system and everything. So I've got like a jacket that I can put over the TV in case it's going to drizzle or something. So I think it was Saturday night. I checked the weather and it said it's going to be clear. There's no storms whatsoever. So I'm out there late and I fell asleep out on the back deck. And it's storm comes in. I get the TV out there and I'm scrambling to get the TV inside. So, sorry. Yeah.
Makes you move. Yeah, no, I like this, especially in the morning when it's a little cooler, like if you go to work out or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And Ron, good to see you too. If you're talking about the event on Saturday morning with the hockey clinic, it's a blast. Cute kids. So I was lucky. I got to go on the ice with all the little. You've been out there. These kids, the little cute ones, when they're just getting started. Yeah. And they're really doubting themselves. I've got the advantage of saying to it, like I say to the kids, listen, I played in the NHL for 11 years. When I first started, and it's a true story, I couldn't stand up on skates. I was awful. And people are like, really? And so the kids get out there and they're falling down and stuff. They realize, okay, it's no big deal. I'll get back up. But it is funny.
It's funny. Every once in a while on YouTube, you can see like NHL players when they first started in the backyard or whatever in Canada. And it's quite a evolution to the NHL. But yeah.
Yeah. See, Barry, Barry Shelley, he's like observant. We're going to call him observant. I'm authentic. So Mark isn't showing up by not wearing a standard tank. That's true too. He's got a t-shirt. He says, that's right. You're being nice to me today. So I don't want to make Tom look too bad today. I'm going to
exactly. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. So where were you? You were informative. This authentic and Barry's observant. So everybody's going to get nicknames today. Okay. So you're informative. I'm authentic. Barry is observant. We got to come up with one for Ron Jameson here.
Steadfast.
There we go. Yeah. Steadfast. I like it. Good job. Good. Yeah, the weather is nice, so right, the mornings and everything like that. Getting out there.
I love it. Yeah. It's invigorating. You know, I mean, I got up this morning. It was only 50, and I had an appointment this morning. I had to go train a guy, and it felt great. It wakes you up. It gets you charged up. You know.
Yeah. He does. Ron's changing his nickname. You don't get to change your nickname, Ron. No. You don't get.
It was like the Seinfeld episode where George wanted to be called. Everybody's got a name. I want to be called T-Bone. They all look at like T-Bone.
Is that?
Yeah.
You know, I am one of the few people that has never watched an episode of Seinfeld. Never watched it.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. I just everybody else. Oh, you remember that episode of Seinfeld?
Yeah. Yeah, you should watch it. I mean, they still have little reruns on.
I think it's to be honest with you, I think it's a stubborn thing though, too. Like now that I haven't watched it, like I don't.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm the same way. Like I didn't see Jaws. I'm probably the only human that hasn't seen Jaws. I get the point. There's this big fish swallowing people. I mean, I don't have to watch it.
Isn't it funny how we can get so stubborn like that that we haven't watched it? Now I'm not going to watch it. That's it.
So going back to the nicknames, with my last name, it's pretty easy to figure out all my nicknames. But I've had a ton of them. There was one point, and you'll appreciate this. This was a long time ago. Skating around on the ice, and the guy goes, "Hey, I'm going to call you Lucy." I said, "Okay." Lucien Deblois. He thought I looked a lot like Lucien Deblois back, it was 100 years ago. But so I had Lucy, of course, Putsy. My other buddy calls me Punchy, from the bottom. So yeah, I've got. So I can just add informative now to the list.
Informative, yes. So obviously, Lades for me. Applejack was one because
explain Applejack.
So back where I grew up on the farm, there's another Laidlaw family who had an apple farm. So there's your old cereal Applejacks. So I was called Applejack. Captain Crunch for a while. And the one funniest one now, and like some of my old teammates early on in my career will call me this. They'll call me Ledge. Ledge. So apparently some guy back in Marquette, Michigan, when we were at the college, wrote an article. It was somebody here talking about how I was back at college, that I was a legend in my own time. Some would say a legend in my own mind. Of course, my old teammates saw that with the Rangers. Oh, you're a legend. You're a legend. So it became Ledge. So it is funny. Some guys still call me that. They'll see me. They call me Legend. It makes me laugh a little bit. So
it's funny. Like, I stick with you forever, some of them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I used to love giving nicknames too. Like find something. I still do it now. Like we go to golf tournaments and we'll go out there with people and something will spark, nicknames. They'll do something out there. So we'll get a nickname. We had this one family one time, wealthy family. He's there with his son, at least one son. The two financial planners are with him. And the one financial planner was a kid was Jack, pretty good. He was a wrestler. So we started making up names based on professional wrestling. Like the father was Ric Flair, hooting and hollering the whole bit. So I'm a terrible golfer. So but I go to these tournaments, I ride around with people and we have fun. And so the same group, near the end of the round, I kept saying, no, I'm not hitting a shot. They want me to hit a shot. So they had about a 30-foot putt. Now, of course, I don't know what I'm doing. I know I'm just going to hit the darn thing, but I make a big scene about this. Like I go in this whole instruction, like, okay, now you're going to listen to me. This is how you do it. You line it up, you take it back, nice gentle swing like this. So I hit the ball, goes right in the hole. So it's hilarious.
That day was your friend.
Yeah. That's awesome. So the one, I think it was one financial planner, was a smaller guy. So I go running towards him like I'm going to give him the chest bump. And the look in his eyes was just the look of panic. Like, this big idiot.
I had that happen. I had one of my fighters down in Washington, and he knocked the guy out in the second round. We were on TV. And this guy, he was a cruiserweight, so the weight limit's 198. So you weigh in, but the night of the fight, you weigh like 205, 208. So I got this 208-pound giant come flying across the ring and jump on me, and I was like, trying to stay alive, kind of thing. Yeah,
it's like the way it works with the fighters. So they weigh in the day before the 198, the weight they need to get, and they'll put on that much weight. So they've obviously had to work so hard to get the weight off, right? Like not drinking water and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what happens is you're supposed to weigh in 24 hours before the fight, approximately, and then you could weigh whatever you want the night of the fight, except championship fights, you cannot weigh more than, so they actually weigh in twice. They weigh in the 24 hours before, you got to make weight. Then the day of the fight, they weigh you in again, and you can be no greater than 10 pounds over. So if the fight's at 154 and you weigh 163 the day of the fight, you're good. You weigh 165, you got to lose that pound.
But so if it's 164 max, no, let's say it's a 158 max. The day before you have to weigh in to 158.
Correct. And then the next day of the fight, you can be no higher than 10 pounds greater than the contracted weight to fight at.
A guy could put on that much weight though, like 10 pounds in 1 day?
Some the little guys that if it's, and there's been problems with this, can put on as much as 15 to 20 and even more. So what happens
in 1 day, Mark?
Oh yeah. So what happens is, and I've been part of it. So you make weight, and then you go right up to your hotel room. You get a nurse there, and she gives you an IV drip, and you rehydrate. I've seen guys that weigh in, they look like they're this close to death, and then you look at the opponent across the ring the night of the fight, and the guy's all jacked up. He goes, "That the same guy?" Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a very famous case here in New York State where, you remember Arturo Gatti?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he fought, and he would put on a ton of weight. Like he weighed in at 135. I think he weighed 160 the night of the fight. And this is before they had this 10-pound rule for championship fights. He fought this kid, Joey Gamache, and he put him into a coma. And Gamache sued the New York State Athletic Commission saying, how do you allow that? How do you allow a guy to put that much weight on?
Well, obviously the guy that got put in the coma is trouble too, but it can't be too healthy for the guy that's going up and down that quickly too, right?
No, it's very bad. It screws everything up. Like I have friends of mine, God bless them, that were smaller guys like me, and they were really jacked, and now, not good when you're 190 and you're only 5'7", 5'8".
Wow. I didn't realize there's that much of a fluctuation. And again, a lot of it's water weight, but it's also them eating too, right?
It's water. You can go on YouTube, and there's a female MMA fighter called Cyborg. She's Brazilian, I think. And there's they follow her making weight. And it's really almost borderline criminal what they'll do to some fighters to make weight. It's the
same thing when you talk to bodybuilders getting ready for a show, right? How they won't even brush their teeth, right? They don't want any fluids in their body whatsoever.
Yeah, bodybuilding too. So they've had a problem with guys going into renal failure. Because you get, and it's happened in boxing, because you get so dried out, your kidneys shut down.
Oh, wow.
It's really, really dangerous, because then you could have a massive coronary. It's really not a safe procedure, but it is professional fighting. And I don't ever like to see a fighter lose more than 10 pounds. And again, it's all relative. So if you're 200 pounds and you lose 10 pounds, it's 2%. I'm sorry, I'm not good at math, but it's a smaller percentage of your body weight than if you're 145 and you cut down to 135.
Yeah.
So
very true.
It's kind of, it's tough.
So I hear a lot of people, I'm an old farm boy, so people will talk, they'll say it's farm boy strength they talk about, right?
Yeah.
So there's different kinds of strength. Right. There's different kinds of strength, right? There's some guys can get in the gym and pound iron, then they can't, it's not functional. They can't do anything outside. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how can you really build up like farm boy strength?
Yeah. So there's four basic types of strength. We can bifurcate some of them. Some a little bit crossover.
Hold on. We can do what? Yeah. Hold on. We can do what? What is that? I've never
heard the word the other day. I don't even know what it means. I just started zinging.
Come on. What is that? I mean, I'm saying this in a good way.
It's a split.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever heard that. That's fantastic.
Bifurcate means so I have someone feeding me stuff. Yeah.
No, that's smart.
Really four basic types. The first one is absolute strength, which is maximal strength. How much can you deadlift for one rep? How much can you squat for one rep? And so that's absolute strength. The next one would be relative strength, and that's relative to your body weight. So your relative strength compared to mine for the same weight would be different. So if you can bench press 300 and you weigh 225, and I can bench press 300 at 165, my relative weight is going to be greater than yours.
Right. I'm going to stop for 1 second. I know I'm interrupting you going through this. So say one person, I hear this from guys all the time. So let's say I weigh 220 and I can bench press 300 pounds. For some reason, it feels like you can bench press more. Like if I put weight on and I'm now 230, I feel like guys are always saying you can bench press more. I'm still the same person. It's still the same, like nothing changes in my body other than my weight. What is that real?
Part of it's just placebo. Part of it's mental. Part of it's mental. And then also, and the greater mass you have, essentially the greater amount of mass you can move.
Okay.
So again, if you and I line up to a boulder, you can move it. Probably I can't.
Right.
Because of the relative strength difference, because of our size difference. It takes greater mass to move greater mass.
Gotcha.
And if you look at like, no, that's fine, Tom. And if you look at like really, so like this, you look at the strongman competitions. Yeah. Those guys are between 350 and weight. Yeah. They weigh 350 to 400. They want to carry as much mass as they can to be able to move another great, a very heavy mass. So you have absolute or maximum strength, you have relative strength, and then you have explosive or starting strength. So a good example of that would be how high you can jump or how fast you can get off the line, whether it's on skates or a sprinter or change of direction. So I'm running down the field and there's an interception and I got to go back the other way. I'm skating down the ice and the flow goes the other way. My stop and now my first step is my explosive or my starting strength, we call that. And then the last one would be strength endurance. And there's a good term that we use in combat sports is it's not as important to be strong. It's important to be strong for a long time. So, and then strength endurance may also come into play. So if you're a rower, how long can you keep that power production at that pace? So that would be strength endurance. Some sports require a little bit of everything. So if we look at hockey, obviously the maximum strength or the absolute strength is important, especially when you're working along the corner. Can you out-muscle the other man? Your relative strength, again. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to you where you go in a corner and a guy's a little guy and you go, holy crap, that little crap. He's a really strong dude, Right. So his relative strength's pretty good. And again, explosive and starting strength, puck's dropped, you got to take off, or you have to jump, or just in everyday life, I got to pull you out of a car. I got to be really explosive and get you out of there in one pull. And then the strength endurance, again, a lot of sports. So hockey, you want to have the same amount of strength in the third period as you did in the first period. Same thing with fighting. we want to be as strong as we are in the last or later rounds of the fight as we are at the beginning of the fight. And then again, it could be a life preservation thing. How long can you keep your head above water?
Yeah.
In a bad situation.
It's true, right? It is funny. There's so many of those things, and we talked about this before, like knowing your surroundings and everything. Most people will never get to a point in their lives that they have to defend themselves or save themselves or whatever. But man, it's like you get to that point and you haven't trained yourself. It's like,
I'm giving a seminar Saturday, this coming Saturday. Probably it's 20 some odd women, and the woman who's running it was asking me to give her a general overview. Because they really thought it was going to be like they're going to be punching me and kicking me. I said, no. I said, that's the last line. And we've talked about this. It's avoidance, it's escape, it's de-escalate, and then it's confront. So what I said to her, though, is if you're reacting, it's too late.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like the term self-defense. That means you're already under attack. So you didn't have good situation awareness. You didn't recognize the threat. You didn't try to de-escalate, or you didn't have any de-escalation skills. And then you had to fight because you're being attacked. So it's better to have a plan of action than to be reactive. And I think that cuts across the board in everything, even in sport.
Sure. That is about life and everything too, right? It's like closing the gap. It's like closing the gap. There's a problem there.
Exactly.
You don't wait for the problem to come to you. You need to either remove yourself from the situation or go attack the problem, right? So my own college coach said to me, he says, listen, it's college, right? So there was no fighting allowed. He says, I don't want you fighting, but if you're going to fight, I want you to win. And to win, you've got to hit first. And
Well, Billy Martin, you remember Billy Martin, the
Yeah.
famous Yankee manager and ball player. He was a little guy like me, but he was in a lot of fights.
Yeah.
And his view was, I never lost a fight. I got the first punch in. And it's
Yeah.
pretty true. I mean, you can't go around sucker punching people.
Yeah.
But in the world of self-defense, it's very important to understand a threat and have a response to it. And the response should be preemptive.
Yeah, totally.
You don't want to wait till someone's playing.
My sainted mother, she's passed away now, so she'll be cringing in her grave when I tell the story, but I've told it several times where, so when I first grew up, I was a little farm boy and everything. We played box lacrosse. So we take the ice out of the hockey rink and just play inside the hockey rink. And it was after one game, it must have been 6 or 7 years old. And I must have done something to this boy on the other team. And I've got a soda in my hand. And he comes over and knocks the soda out of my hand. And I guess now I realize he wanted to fight. But at times, seriously, I just didn't know what's going on. Like, why is this kid coming over? So my mother did the same thing right away. She was this tiny woman, quiet, never swore hardly at all. And she passed away. She had a long battle with cancer. So that was bad. But the good part of that was that we got to go back and tell stories and say goodbye and all that stuff. So I told the story and she denies it. But I remember the color of the sky, the parking lot, everything. She would go out in the parking lot. She looks around. There's no cars around, nobody else around. She goes, and she used some choice language, but she said basically, if you ever let somebody do that to you again, I'm going to kick the crap out of you. There's no way he's going to have her son get pushed around. And I remember looking at her like, whoa. And she said after that, she like later on, it's like, because I was always getting in fights and stuff, right? So she said after she wished she'd never said that, or she denied saying it. But it was true. I mean, that was great advice.
It absolutely is true. It absolutely is true. I guess maybe I passed along a short fuse to my son, Sean. I was hoping I didn't, but I did. And he was playing high school. They had a summer league. And so the teams were kind of, some kids play travel, some didn't. And Sean's team was up by a couple goals. And one of the kids and there were two boys on the other team that I knew of them. They were AAA kids. They were really good hockey players. And one of them ran a little kid on Sean's team. And, it's summer hockey, number one. You don't do that ever. And plus it's summer hockey. So Sean skated over and grabbed him by the shoulder and spun him around. And the kid looks at Sean and goes, "Oh, what do you play, AA hockey?" Like, Ooh. And Sean goes, "I don't really play hockey." Boom, I box. And he just one punched him. And that was it.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah. It is funny, right? You pass that stuff on to your kids. It's just, you can't help it.
It's funny because my other son has never been in an argument, I don't think.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's really easy. Sean is too, but he has, he can handle himself.
Yeah. And my boys are totally stubborn. They're poor girls. One's married, one's got a girlfriend. And we laugh around all the time because poor girls. Like, you got the whole Laidlaw thing just thrown at you. It's like, it's just stubbornness.
Well,
yeah.
The funniest, and I'll tell you a quick story and we'll get back to the strength thing. But so my sister's youngest boy, he's got, he's like on a spectrum. Let's put it at that. He's got some learning disabilities and stuff like that. And he went off to college. And it didn't work out. I mean, they kids, even I would have thought at that point they're not doing this, but they can identify a child who has some kind of learning disabilities. And his roommates would just really, and then it got physical. They slapped him around a little bit. So, we're sitting around here one night and we're talking about it. And I said, it was Beth, myself, and my son, Sean. And Sean doesn't say much. He's a pretty quiet guy. And Beth brought up the whole thing and we were talking about it. And I said, well, Beth, karma has a funny way of working things out, right? So Sean's sitting there, he just looks at us and goes, "Karma's sitting right here."
That's good. Yeah. That is good. Oh, I know. Stubborn. It's like my boys are so stubborn. I tell a story when I was in college too. I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of college. So I went to Northern Michigan University. That first year I was there, was the first year they had a hockey program. And all my life, all I ever wanted to do is play in the National Hockey League. There's no other option. That was what I was going to do. And that was it. It was this really, I can't remember his name. I think it was Doug Harris, great guy on the team, really intelligent guys on the team. And we were just sitting around the dorm rooms one day, and he just made a random comment. I think we were talking about hockey, but he said, "Well, nobody from this team's ever going to play in the National Hockey League." And I felt so bad. I'd lost it. I just, "Don't you ever say that again. I'm playing in the National Hockey League. That's it." He was looking at me like, "What did I say?" Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. I probably. Yeah, and I probably wouldn't have made it unless I had that attitude. But
I mean, you hear this kind of a common story. Gordie Howe used to practice his autograph as a little boy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys that, and really, I think anybody that played in the National Hockey League obviously predetermined at an early age. I'm going to do what it takes to get there.
Yeah, totally. It's very true. Yeah, and I mention this all the time. I said that Wayne Gretzky and I have one thing in common. We both accomplished our dreams. The difference is my dream was to play in the National Hockey League. His dream was to be the best player that ever played in the National Hockey League.
Shatter every record known to man.
Yeah, and I think I do a better job of that now than when I do something. I just don't want to I don't ever regret anything about my career. But if I look back and I go, I look at some guys, like I had a client, Dallas Drake was a client of mine, great player, won his cut. And I was like, he got more out of his career than I think. I shouldn't say more. He's a guy that got everything he could out of his career. He just gave everything he could, the way he played and everything. And if I look back and go, I think, it's just my dream wasn't big enough. My dream was to play and wasn't to be the best defenseman or something like that. And that it's not a regret. It's more of a learning lesson, right? That now when you do things, make sure you better every day.
Yeah, sometimes I think quite often we sell ourselves short a little bit. Yeah. We set goals that are realistic, but we maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive in our thinking.
Right. And also just saying, listen, it isn't good enough. What I am today isn't good enough. Just get better tomorrow, really, right? That's the simple.
Well, that's the whole SEAL thing, be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, totally. Like the one guy, I wish I'd remembered his name. I think the guy that said to me that the second swim, he said to me, he says, Tom, I write myself a contract every day. The deal is to get better every day than I was the day before, right? The way he said it to me is like, oh my God, that was good. Good stuff. Hey, you're talking about training then. An interesting signing by the New York Islanders on the weekend. They signed Zdeno Chara, which I think move by Lou. Well, and there's so many reasons, right? But when we're talking training, I really admire him because I watched the show in one time how he was changing his training methods as he got older. Yeah. Because I watch him play now, and I think he may be a better skater now than he was when he was. He's still not a beautiful skater, but when he first started, he was like Bambi on ice, and he's trained himself so much now. So I just
you look at guys like Chara or even Jágr, and it just drives home the point that we really don't diminish as we age. What diminishes is our drive to work hard.
Yep.
And I get it. Like, I had this conversation with Kenny Danico, and Kenny says to me, man, I said, yeah, but Kenny, I didn't play 20 years in the National Hockey League. I'm sure that when you got to the end of your career, the last thing you wanted to do was get on a bike and ride or go to the weight room or skate or shoot pucks. For me, it's different. I didn't play in the National Hockey League. I didn't have a career that was along those lines. But a lot of guys, I think, and even Kenny now, I know, after a period of time, they get back into it because they go,
totally. Yes.
I just want to get in shape, and I don't want Father Time to really, do a number on me.
Yeah.
But I read a book last year during COVID. It was called Chasing the Jackal, and it's by this guy. I think I mentioned him to you, William D. His last name is Waugh. So I guess that would be Waugh. He was a Green Beret in Vietnam, and then he came home. We started working for the CIA as a contractor. When we got hit by 9/11, he went down to the Pentagon to a general he knew. He said, send me over. And they went, Bill, you're 72 years of age.
Oh, you did tell about him. Yes.
And he said, so what? So the guy said, no, there's no way. So I think I told the story. He got a lawn chair and parked it in front of this general's office and slept there for 2 days. And the guy, you're still here? All right, you're going. Send him over. And he said when I got there, he goes, everybody's going, hey, come here, little special forces guy. He's 72 and blah, blah. He goes, I felt like a history project. I said, I'm here to work, guys. And he took his last halo, which is, for those that don't know, high altitude, low opening parachute jump, where special ops do it. They'll jump at literally 30,000 feet, hit maximum velocity, and they do a very low deployment of the chute. And he did his last one at 89 years of age.
Yeah.
89 years of age. And in the book, he talks about being in the Sudan, which is like 140 degrees. It's freezing out. I mean, that's how hot it gets there. And he'd be out at 3 a.m. going for a run. And then he'd go into the CIA office to debrief and go, he would say, yeah, I saw it. And, well, how'd you see that? Well, I was running. And they go, 3 o'clock in the morning? And they go, yeah. Well, what are you doing running at 3 o'clock in the morning? He goes, I'm staying in shape.
That's a great answer.
What I'm doing? Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's a great answer. I like that a lot. I'm going to use that one. Can I use that one? I'll take that. Oh, what are you
Sure.
doing? Working.
But I mean, we all know guys, and women too, that like guys you played with or coaches you've had that are older, and they're still out there banging out thousands of push-ups and pull-ups and running, and it really,
Yeah,
unless you really.
I know you and I feel the same way. To me, I wish more people would do it. Like keep moving, like whatever it is. Do like, is it walking, riding the bike, going to the gym, whatever it is, boxing, just move, just keep going. Like you're sitting around. And again, I know as you get older, we get the aches and pains and everything, and it's going to happen, but you're going to have aches and pains whether you're sitting on the couch or whether you're out doing something too. So,
yeah. And you asked me before how old I was, and when 65, and I made my annual physical appointment, and they call you first because of COVID protocol. They ask you a whole bunch of questions about, your COVID status. And then she starts in on the 65-year-old questions like, have you had any recent falls? I said, oh, yeah. You ever heard about did I ever tell you about my drinking habits? Yeah, of course I fall. No, but yeah. And then she says, do you ever need any transportation to the pharmacy? I go, no, but if you swing by later, I could really use a ride to the gym. And like she starts laughing. And she says, do you ever have any bouts of depression? I said, have you watched the news lately?
That's funny. When I was in Survivor, they did a physical on me too. So the nurse comes in first, as you know, and she starts asking all these questions.
Yeah.
So what surgeries you had? Well, I ruptured my spleen, I have my shoulder done, my nose done, I have fake teeth, I've got. I go on, and she's going, well, what? Like, what did you do to yourself? It is funny because
I know.
You're the same way when you don't really recite it every day. So when they ask you all these questions, you start reciting all the injuries, surgeries you've had. It's like, holy smokes. That's funny.
They wonder what the hell happened to you. So I guess probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, Gleason's gym in New York. It's an iconic gym. Yeah. And I had trained a lot of fighters there over the years. And so they have this Masters tournament they do every summer. It's pretty cool. Like, fighters come in from Italy, England, Australia, Ireland, and to Masters division, I think, if I remember correctly, it's like north of 35, 35 years of age of up. And what they do is it's 10 pounds, 10 years, and then they look at your fight experience. So they try to match you according to that. So in my case, at the time, I was like 60-ish. I could fight someone as young as 50, or I could fight someone as old as 70, which I wouldn't do. And then either at the time I weighed like, I don't know, 160. So either someone 170 or someone 150. So it's 10 years, 10 pounds. But they also look at how many fights you had. So at the end of the day, what happened was they couldn't find anybody for me to fight because it would have been fun, like to fight a guy from Ireland or Australia. Yeah. But because I had, like a lot of amateur experience, most people that are older,
right,
they're just starting now. It's like a hobby kind of thing. So it was I had to go to get a physical done for USA Boxing. So when you're older than 55, they make you get a stress test.
Oh.
Where they put you on a treadmill and they hook you up like all the stuff all over you. So I had to go to my doctor, explain to him why. So I go to the cardiologist and I'm sitting there in the lobby and they call me in. And right away, are you experiencing any symptoms today? I said, no, that's not why I'm here. And again, so they put you on a treadmill. I don't know if you've ever had a stress test.
Yeah.
I mean, they hook you all up and you can't run, you got to walk, and they start increasing elevation and they increase speed. So after, I don't know how long I was on this thing, she said, okay, that's good. But it was just funny how, I guess when the assumptions are you hit a certain age, no matter what you've done in your world, you're going to have some kind of health issues.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around.
Yeah,
should be surprised. Yeah.
I agree totally. All right. So we talked about our strength here today. Good lesson. Another informative conversation from the great Mark Puttenvink, Patriot Training System.
If I could real briefly.
Yeah.
So absolute strength, if you want to increase your absolute strength, look to a low rep, low set protocol. In other words, if you want to increase your deadlift, it sets like doubles, it sets a singles. There you can go online. There's a Russian program that's it's laid out. I think it's 6 weeks long. You're going to actually do that lift 3 times a week. I've done it in the past. I've had athletes use it that were power lifters. It's really incredible. I've had a guy put 100 pounds on a squat in 1 month.
So
you can absolutely, you can increase your absolute strength. Relative strength, again, it can be increased. What I would say is if you're a smaller man or a male or female, again, it's kind of lower reps, more in combination with explosive strength. Because again, these things kind of cross over. Your relative strength, again, is like a little guy giving you a big shove. He's good for that one big explosive starting strength. And then the explosive stuff is, and the starting strength is to do cleans, things that are very explosive in movements when you're doing your strength training. And then obviously strength endurance is higher reps and a larger volume of reps. So
I think we talked about before. We talked about before. I was doing that West Side barbell for a while. I thought that was really good for your.
Lou Simmons is a genius. He's really a wizard. And I mean, most of his athletes are absolute strength athletes, or power lifters and weightlifters. Yeah. But the bottom line is if you can have a good kind of mix of all four of the general strength types, you're going to be a better athlete. You're going to be a better in whatever you do in day-to-day life as well.
Good job. The brilliant, the intelligent, the humble, the informative Mark Puttenvink, all wrapped up in one.
Also known as Lucy.
Lucy. All right, buddy. We'll see you next week.
All right, John. Tom, you're good.
I'm Tom.
I said Tom.